that person who lives their life that way, that's a cultured person. A little bit more on the theory side, and then we'll go some practical. True culture is an environment for the soul to thrive. Like, this is another way of saying the same thing in response to Premananda's question in the morning session. How to deal with people that are aberrations, like they just something's missing. Or if there's some course correction, you start with creating an atmosphere, the culture where the soul can thrive. The pure soul by nature is pure, and by nature the pure soul is humble. So real culture is that same culture when there's humility, and because of humility, you look up and see others as part and parcel of Krishna. Some persons are behaving nicely, some persons are not, but you don't depart from that perception that they're part of Krishna. When we let others go ahead and constantly humble our false ego, it allows us to manifest our true nature and feel as we are, as a soul and servants of God. And that's what we do. To feel, this is cute, to feel the reality of his existence and not just the theory that he exists somewhere doing God knows what. It's a natural question. A little sharing. I'm in that mood tonight. One of the activities that some devotees kind of conceptualized is to have a retreat where completely new people come. So it was given a nice name, a body, mind, spirit retreat, which can mean anything. So one of the parts of that body, mind, spirit retreat is I'm a participant and say something and do something. And then there's a session, meet the monk. And there's a standard question that comes right at the beginning, like, how'd you become a monk? So one of my answers to how I became a monk was this one. It's right here on the screen. Growing up in a Christian, American Christian family, I did what little Christian boys do. You go to Sunday school. Of course, you go to Sunday school too, right? Yeah, so we went to Sunday school. And one of the things I learned at Sunday school is about heaven. I didn't know about heaven until I went to Sunday school. Nobody we heard about it. So then I went at home. I asked Mom and Dad, what's it like there? What do people do? Like, what's God doing up there? And they didn't have an answer. And the priest didn't have an answer, and whoever I asked didn't have an answer. So I started asking the question because there's a question that had no answer. So then there's the rest of what happened after that, but I just got busy doing what you're supposed to do. And what you're supposed to do. Do well in academics, be good in sports, and be a sociable person. That's what you're supposed to do. That's success. Top is be academics for a young kid growing up in America. So I spent about 20 years doing that, trying to be successful. Anyway, then a little light went on. Like I want to do a U-turn. This isn't what success is. It's not what happiness is. There's certainly something more than this. There's certainly something more than this. Intuitively, fundamentally, there's something more than stuff. getting more stuff. You're getting 5 gold stars instead of 3 gold stars in your report card. There's something more to life than that. So here we are, talking the same topic. But sometimes persons' hearts are closed. By nature, we're open. When we experience disrespect in ill-formed relationships, the door of our heart begins to close. We become, fill in the blank. There's some negative emotions. One, feeling lonely, closed, afraid to express ourselves, etc. Our hearts are locked. But the meaning of life is to love and be loved, and to give and receive. Therefore, it's important to follow Vedic rules. That's what our topic is. Remember the topic at the very, very beginning? What's the role of rules? Is there? Following Vedic rules and principles of etiquette. Is there a benefit in that? Is there a purpose for that? And is it that you just follow the rules and the bell rings? So we're gonna explore. One rule that Srila Prabhupada kept is the rule of offering respect or paying obeisances to other Vaishnavas. And in the beginning, Prabhupada didn't mandate so many rules, saying in our current Western culture, at least, they're not relevant anymore. But he left this one, paying obeisances. And there's a reason. It helps us quickly come closer to our natural self. Because this rule brings us very close to the essence. The same respect, the same point, just saying the same point in a different way. There's persons worthy of respect, and show them respect. And this is a very humbling and natural way. You offer respect, paying obeisances. So now we're going to go through this little topic of form and essence. Form reproduces essence, using the imagery here of making clay pots from a glob of clay. In the beginning, Prabhupada, he had this principle of offering obeisances, but sometimes devotees were happy to do that, and sometimes they weren't so happy. Here's an example. Brahmananda, you've heard his name a couple of times just during this seminar. Very senior devotee, one of the earliest devotees and followers of Srila Prabhupada. He didn't like saying, no, I'm not going to do it, but he said, I'm not comfortable. Why should I do if everyone bows down and I don't feel like bowing down? What should I do? I don't have the feeling that I need to bow. I don't want to. Reasonable. Prabhupada, bow down anyway. In due time, you will feel. You will understand. So by acting with you, there are certain things, not compelling, it's just he's a spiritual master-disciple relationship, and he's encouraging that which develops character. The character of humility is an essential starting point. Another sharing. I'm in the mood. So after some events happened, and I decided, you know what? Prabhupada has changed my life. I was asking this question, what's reality with a capital R? And he made it clear, Krishna is that reality with a capital R, the Supreme Person. from whom everything comes. And that the whole picture changed. The world, my picture of the world, my experience, everything changed. So I felt transformed and I wanted to give back. Gratitude. So now, how do I best express the gratitude? That was the answer came quickly. It was like this the same morning walk that the question came, the answer came, or the decision. I need to dedicate some time of my life, do a pause on my education program, and dedicate some portion of my life to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. Because he came to give, and I was benefited, a completely unknown person, just to benefit me and persons like me. So let me see if I can help. So temples were for that purpose. Enthusiastic young boy. He's a handful.
He's more happy that his friends are here.
Yeah. Okay. We're not friends yet. Okay, I get your point though. I'm just being silly. So when the decision was made at that particular time in ISKCON, most devotees didn't have cars. I had a car. I had a car because when I was young, I was responsible and I had this and that and the other thing, and I had earned some money and bought a car, Volkswagen Bug, popular little car at the time. The ones, the old Volkswagen. So I drove all the way from Buffalo, New York, on a Sunday morning to go to the Sunday feast at the Boston Temple. That's a long drive. And when I got there, I didn't have somebody else in the car. It was like a solo drive. I was exhausted and hungry, but I was looking forward to the Sunday feast. That was like, And when I got there, because I had previously visited that temple, they knew who I was. I was received very warmly and said, "Could you help us out? We have a lot of pots to wash after the Sunday feast." Okay. So I went and washed the pots. They saved some prasadam, fortunately. And then after the pots were washed, they had some prasadam. And then they said, "Well, we just lost our pot washer. Could you wash pots tomorrow morning?" Okay. I left college to become a pot washer in the Hartford. I left medical school career to become a pot washer. Okay. I didn't, sure. So I wash pots. And it's a detail. It's a nice story. So where the pot sink was just, there was a set of double doors that lead to where the parking lot was behind the house. And there's where the vans were, and the devotees got in the vans at noon or at 11 o'clock to go to Harinam for an hour and a half at least, because that was like mandatory, something everybody did. In the whole temple, except the pujari, even the temple president, everybody went except me, the pot washer. And they would pat me on the back on the way out the door. And for a month, just wash pots. And then, I was a young fellow and I wanted to go on Harinam. I washed the pots. So 2 lessons. This is a detail. One lesson was, Prabhupada said, when you wash the pots, you're cleansing your heart. I didn't say it, but I thought, oh yeah, there's a spot right next to me. It's a double sink. But I didn't say it. And then sometime later, someone else said, Prabhupada said you should wash the pot so nicely you can see yourself in the bottom of the pot. Many of you have heard this multiple times. And at that time, like, not only temples didn't have cars, they didn't have money. And so there was used pots. And the used pots weren't steel, they were those aluminum pots. And when you have aluminum pots that are, they get real crumpled on the bottom. And that all the fire from the stove goes on the bottom of the pot. And I was thinking, not where the food goes, but where the flame goes. Make it so clean you can see your reflection in the bottom of the pot. The very day, it took a whole month to get to that place. But I guess anyone could see their face in the bottom of the pot. And then someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, guess what? We have another pot washer. Would you like to come with us on Harinam? And, it was a signal. The signal was, Krishna just wanted me to become humble. It worked. So if you ever want to become humble, just become a pot washer for a month. And watch everybody go about, being happy while you're washing pots feeling... So by doing the heart, by bowing down, you'll feel, in other words, rules help. When we accept some form, it helps us reproduce the essence. That's the message here. So now here's the topic that comes in religious teachings, form versus essence. And some say, notice on the left side, that's scripture, according to the rules of the scripture. Humans constantly struggle to balance form, rules, rituals, and essence, the feeling, the purpose. Some say, follow the rules, forget the feelings. Some say the essence really matters, don't worry about the rules. So what's correct? The answer is they're both needed. So we're going to just, 2 slides just describing this. Overemphasis of form. Focusing only on external rules while forgetting the internal purpose is a deviation towards karma or ritualistic actions. There are some religions, form is it. You follow this, follow that, without naming the names. There are some religions that are like that. Christianity, at some point in time, arose from a rejection of this rules. Pharisees and scribes had dried up the hearts of people because they worshiped law rather than the spirit. Form without essence is a corpse. It has shape, but no breath. Then you go in the other direction, disregarding form, the ghost. Disregarding rules to focus only on spirit leads to jnana or mayavad philosophy, an attempt to blur distinctions. Essence without specific shape is just vague. It leads to the idea that everything is the same and nothing matters. Essence without form is a ghost. It has spirit, but no vehicle to interact with the world. So both are needed. Both are needed. So bhakti is the synthesis of the form and essence. It's a nice little sidebar. Bhakti is the inseparable link between the two. Why? Because there's no difference between Krishna's form and Krishna's essence, as Srila Prabhupada said. Anyone who states that one should worship not Krishna, but the undying impersonal within Krishna is a Mayavadi. There are some Bhagavad Gita renderings that's what they say. It's not unto Krishna, but to the unborn within Krishna. Krishna has a specific form. He wears a peacock feather, etc. While some struggle with this specificity, preferring a vague God, truth is specific. Because the divine has form, we can use the form. Here, in this case, it means rules and rituals to reach the essence, which is love. But bear in mind what the essence is as you're following the rules. Here's another graphic that's saying the same thing. On the one side, over-attachment to rules. On the other side, neglect of rules. The path of bhakti is a nice bridge. There's this big cavern underneath the bridge. Cross that bridge. We shouldn't go to either extreme. Clinging to rules while forgetting their purpose is niyama agraha. Neglecting the rules, claiming spontaneous love is niyama agraha. We need the discipline of form to unlock the freedom of the essence. Now, if someone is interested in the philosophy of religion, this is it. This is one big piece of it. So for the rest of us, it's not a problem. But it is certainly possible to put too much emphasis on one side or too much emphasis on the other side. And I've narrated this. Now this is with lots of images. This is the Mahabharata scene where Bhishma Dev has been is demised. Actually, he didn't die right away. He decided that just to hang around and wait till an auspicious time, and then he chose to leave at an auspicious time. So he's off to the side somewhere with arrows through his body, the bed of arrows. Krishna teaches the correct etiquette and art of reconciling and harmonizing everything because he's the master of culture. He can correct every situation without going to one extreme or the other. So here's the scene. Karna has become the commander-in-chief. And we know already about the mood of Karna, and he's excessively proud. And excessively proud. He wants to prove himself. So look out, here I come. I'm Karna. And he defeats Yudhishthira, and here's how it happens. Here's Kunti revealing to Karna before the battle, the battle's about to happen, and she struggled and decided, I need to tell my son. He's my son. So you're my firstborn son. And please fight with your brothers. Don't fight against your brothers. So Karna was like livid. No. Where were you, O noble woman, all this time? When people reviled me, when they pointed fingers at me, when they laughed at me, saying I was just a son of a charioteer, where were you then? Why were you silent? Duryodhana lifted me out of the mud. He lifted me up and made me a Kshatriya. I will never betray Duryodhana. Loyalty. But I promise, here's interesting. I promise you that you will always have 5 sons left alive, meaning he's going to kill Arjuna. That's just what he told his mother. Although I can kill every one of the Pandavas, I will not kill anyone other than Arjuna, because only he is on the same level as me. Either I will kill him or he will kill me. In any case, you will remain with 5 sons. When I kill Arjuna, you'll still have 5 sons. So you'll have nothing to grieve about. I promise you that. So he's giving Karna's promise. What does that mean anyways? But he made a promise and he kept his promise. During the battle, after Bhishma fell and Drona fell, Karna became the commander, chief commander of the Kaurava army. He began to fight and wanted to prove he could defeat any of the Pandava brothers. He quickly and easily defeated Nakula and Sahadev. He even defeated Bhima in battle so thoroughly that Bhima fled in horror from him. In the end, Karna challenged Yudhishthira. Of course, Arjuna was on another part of the battlefield, but he went after Yudhishthira. Completely defeated him. He destroyed even his chariot driver and horses. And, many, many, many wounds. Poor, embarrassed, defeated Yudhishthira. The chariot driver was able to somehow gather another chariot and take him off the battlefield. But it was clear, Yudhishthira has been defeated by Karna. So Karna, remembering the word to his mother, you'll always have 5 sons. So he didn't kill him. But he could have. Let it be. So Yudhishthira, somehow getting to a place where they could minister to him. The Brahmanas that knew how to apply medicinal herbs came and did their thing. And bleeding heavily, the king, the emperor of the world, is lying in great distress and humility also. More than physical pain, it was the pain of humiliation and defeat that haunted him. Arjuna was far away at that time, fighting somewhere on the other end of the vast battlefield. When he returned and didn't see his brother, he became very worried. There's some further detail. He wanted to go get Karna, but Krishna said, no. Your brother is Yudhishthira, has been seriously wounded. We should go see him. So Krishna's plan. He rushed to find out what happened, where he was, how he was. And there's Arjuna, and there's Yudhishthira looking at Arjuna like, what are you doing here? When Arjuna, after some time, entered the tent where Yudhishthira was lying and bleeding, Yudhishthira thought, he has come to tell me the good news. Karna has been killed. He has avenged me and my dishonor, my defeat. He has come to cheer me up. Yudhishthira sat up and asked, is Karna killed? And Arjuna replies, surprised by Yudhishthira's outburst. Arjuna was very surprised. Karna, I didn't think about Karna. I thought about you. I came to visit you. It was important to me to find out what state you're in now. Yudhishthira blew up. A man of even temperament and impeccable character and everything. He began insulting Arjuna, calling him, bad names. Here's a little graphic showing bad names. You're a coward. For a whole year, you lived as a eunuch. Well, he's a dance teacher, right? Incognito year in palace of Virat. Give your Gandiva bow to a real warrior. You're afraid. Admit that you're afraid. There's a whole section that says read, but I'm not going to read. It was insulting. Arjuna didn't like it. He immediately went to get his sword. He felt anger, pain, deep resentment. He stormed out, grabbed his sword. Krishna said, "Where are you going?" Arjuna said, "Why? I will kill him, then kill myself. I made a vow. According to my vow, I must kill anyone on the spot who tells me to give away my Gandiva bow or claims that I am unworthy of it. I must fulfill my vow, and then I'll have to kill myself." Pretty strong. So Krishna's gives him several lessons. There's like a long section about what Krishna says to Arjuna. It's like Bhagavad Gita number 2. What benefit is there if you now fulfill your vow? And in so doing, kill yourself and your elder brother. What good will that do for Dharma? And many, many, many other lessons. So, lessons in Dharma. It's very important. The meaning of Dharma is not to harm any living entity. Ultimately, that's our goal. The meaning of Dharma is to awaken love for Bhagavan. And since Bhagavan is everything, that means we have to find love for everything else. Same message as Kapila's teachings. You are a warrior, and you must fight and kill. But there's a vast difference between fighting for a just cause out of a sense of duty and fighting merely to protect your own wounded pride. If you kill someone in defense of your wounded self-esteem, then you're violating Dharma. Instead of upholding it, Arjuna became convinced. So here's a little graphic. On one side, fighting for duty or Dharma. Another is fighting for pride. The meaning of Dharma is not to harm any living entity. Ahimsa, a principle, a fundamental pillar or building block of Dharma. So Krishna informs Arjuna, like he's whispering in his ear, the lie that protects you from breaking Dharma is the truth. If, in order to uphold the highest Dharma, one must lie, then that lie becomes real truth. Interesting. So, if you reflect deeply, you'll understand what you need to do, kind of like his conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. You should never kill Yudhisthira. On the other hand, you need to keep your vow. Fulfill your vow. Here's how. Go to Yudhisthira and scold him. When a younger person speaks disrespectfully to an elder, the elder dies in his heart. So kill him by speaking disrespectfully to him. Krishna said. So uphold your vow. Kill him that way. So this is, a sub-principle of this principle is, by disrespecting seniors, it's cruel. When we revile a senior person in our heart, in essence, we kill him. We kill him in our heart. And this is tantamount to if you must kill Yudhisthira, then for goodness sake, kill him with cruel words. And then fall at his feet and ask for forgiveness. Insult him and then ask for forgiveness. Because after all, he's Yudhisthira. He'll forgive you. Sincerely repent and he will forgive you. Everything will be fine. The scriptures say so. So, dutifully, Arjuna goes to Yudhisthira. Listen to this, what he says. Yudhisthira, you're actually a coward. As Yudhisthira was saying to Arjuna, you're a coward. You're the coward. You're a complete coward. Because of you, we lived 13 years in the forest. Every day in those 13 years, we remembered how you played the dice game. Because of your weakness, our wife was public dishonored before our eyes. You don't even know who you are. You're unfit to be a monarch. You have no qualities for this role. If you compare yourself with Bhima, it would be better to give the throne to Bhima. He's much more worthy. He's a real man. Bhima. The whole war is because of you. And still you dare to scold me. That's not Arjuna. And the other is also not Yudhisthira. Guess what? Krishna. And then after speaking this way to his elder brother, the honorable monarch, he felt terrible. After speaking these words, Arjuna left. He forgot to pay his obeisances. He felt dirty, crumpled inside, and soiled by something foul. And what about us? We are accustomed to many things. When we scold someone, we feel contaminated. If we're not completely desensitized, there's a nasty feeling, a disgusting, heavy sensation. Arjuna had never allowed himself to think ill of his elder brother. He strictly followed all his orders. For him, Yudhisthira was the representative of God, the real bearer of Vedic culture. Seniority was indisputable. He could never think badly of him, especially since Yudhisthira was adorned with all wonderful qualities. So imagine what Arjuna is feeling now. Well, here's how he's feeling. He goes to get his sword again. He's going to kill himself. And Krishna says, where are you going? What are you doing? Arjuna, I want to kill myself. How can I live after this? Krishna's going to do it again. Bhagavad Gita number 3. Again? Who will feel good about you dying? Will you feel good doing this? You will kill yourself and deprive the Pandavas of any hope of victory? Why are you doing something so foolish again? Have you forgotten what the Shastras say? He put his sword back. If you want to kill yourself, here's how to kill yourself. Go praise yourself in front of Yudhisthira. That's killing yourself. Just when a younger scolds the elder, he kills the elder. Likewise, when a junior praises himself before a senior, he commits suicide. So, go and do that if you want to destroy yourself. So he does. He came to Yudhisthira and began to praise himself. Yes, I'll win over everyone with my Kandiva bow and blah, 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 blah. But when he said all this, he felt even worse. So much worse and disgusted that he fell at Yudhisthira's feet and begged for forgiveness. Looks like Yudhisthira's wounds healed really fast, huh? Please forgive me. I'm the biggest fool. I wanted to kill you, and I insulted you. And then, dear king, in fact, my whole life belongs to you. I have no life of my own. Forgive me for my stupidity. I promise you, I will kill Arjuna today. I will kill Karna today. And how does Yudhisthira respond? He said, no need to ask for forgiveness. Everything you said is true. I'm unfit to be the monarch. I'm out of here. So this is this point of, doing some meaningful service after, gee, I'm sorry. We often believe a tearful apology is the end of the matter. However, even if the victim says, think nothing of it, A subtle trace of the offense remains in the offender's heart. Sincere tears alone do not wash away the root tendency to offend. Example, Daksha with his nice goat's head. Daksha offended Lord Shiva and was punished by giving the head of a goat, despite being a figure formerly attractive to women. He became a source of horror. Daksha sincerely regretted his mistake. He apologized from the depths of his heart, and Lord Shiva, the embodiment of compassion, sincerely forgave him. Yet, despite this genuine exchange, the seed of the offense was not fully uprooted. He was carrying some things inside. Jiva Goswami comments on this from Mahabharata and makes a comparison with the chanting of the holy name or rendering service to a devotee of Krishna. It's not enough simply ask for forgiveness, even sincerely, although that's a good beginning. We must do something positive. We must do something to please the person we offended. The objective is to perform a service so dedicated that it melts the heart of the offended party. Redemption requires action, not just words. Jiva Goswami, in his Bhakti Sandarbha, comments in this way. So Arjuna went to Yudhisthira. My dear brother, I know what you want. Please forgive me. Today I will do what you want me to do. I will kill Karna. There's Yudhisthira's response. No need to ask for forgiveness. In fact, I am to blame for everything. Because of me, you're in this miserable situation. And in essence, everything you said about me is true. I am not worthy to be a king. And he stood up, tightened his dhoti, began walking towards the forest. Krishna stopped him. Krishna is very clever. Seeing Yudhisthira leave, Krishna did the unthinkable. He asked Yudhisthira for forgiveness to restore his self-esteem. Krishna said, don't pay any attention to Arjuna. He said something foolish, but he didn't mean it. In fact, I am the one to blame for everything. I instructed him to tell you all these things. I ask you for forgiveness. Now, Yudhisthira is a noble person, and he knows that Krishna is the personality of God. And Krishna is asking forgiveness from Yudhisthira. How does Yudhisthira feel about that? I instruct him to tell you all these things. I know that today Karna will meet his end. Do not doubt it. Now, Arjuna made that vow, but Krishna is also going to make sure the vow happens. And that's what happened. Yudhisthira replied to Krishna, indeed, you saved us. You saved both me and Arjuna. You helped us overcome this ocean of pain. No, we both, other versions, we both spoke foolishly. And you're our protector. You protected us both. Now, Krishna orchestrated both of them speaking the way that they did and protecting both of them the way that he did. How dear is Krishna to these great souls. Notice this detail of this painting. It looks like Yudhisthira's got a third arm. What do you think, Mataji? We probably should send it back to the AI experts and have them fix that problem. I think that's what I'm going to do. Huh? Okay. Yeah, he's got an extra hand underneath also. Okay, we'll fix it. Try. Moral of the story. The story shows that the principles of Dharma, etiquette, and proper conduct are not rigid or mechanical. They exist to serve a higher purpose. The form and substance, or form and essence. Through his own example, Krishna teaches that these principles are meant to uplift, inspire, and please others, to help them cross their ocean of pain and suffering. Similarly, let our bhakti be not just in words, but in actions that bring joy, redemption, and transformation to the hearts of all. And when there is a desire, Krishna will help us find the balanced and compassionate way of application in all situations. Now, as I'm reading this, I'm thinking of some very, very difficult situations. And, it's a little bit like what we were discussing the other evening about Kaliya saying to Krishna, I recognize these shortcomings, but I couldn't do it on my own, but you did it. We're dependent upon the same message. We're dependent upon blessings and mercy descending so that whatever sincere good intention we may have, it's done in the right thing in the right way. Not just the right thing, but in the right way so that it's effective. And here's another little lesson, the ornament of a sadhu. There's spiritual power by having proper etiquette. So here's a nice example. Many of you know the story, but it's nice to hear the story again and again. Sanatana Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on Mahaprabhu's way back from Vrindavan. They met. Lord Chaitanya instructed him. Then he told Sanatana Goswami, you go from here to Vrindavan, you stay in Vrindavan for some time. After some time, you can come see me in Puri. Then Lord Chaitanya continued going away from Vrindavan back to Puri, and who went through the Jharkhand forest and did what he did in the Jharkhand forest, chanting and dancing, enlivening the elephants and tigers and monkeys and everybody to chant and dance. So when Sanatana Goswami had the opportunity to visit Mahaprabhu in Puri, he decided to go through the forest. And he found out which places in the forest he went so he could have the experience of being in those holy places sanctified by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presence. You know the story? The Jharkhand forest? You've heard the phrase? Okay. You know about his getting the tigers and lions and all the animals to Krishna. Once upon a time, this is another story. There was a devotee in Los Angeles named Amala Bhakta. He wants to. Okay. He's going down. There he goes. He'll be happy. Amala Bhakta. You know Amala Bhakta? You've heard his name. Huh? When we used to work at Los Angeles. Okay. So Amala Bhakta, before he was a Hare Krishna devotee, was a radio announcer. So he used his radio announcing skills in recording Chaitanya Charitamrita. And when it came to this particular, pay attention, I want you to hear this one. Amala Bhakta made sounds of elephant chanting Hare Krishna and a tiger chanting Hare Krishna. He had voice skills. Krishna! I can't do it right, but he did. But So I remember there are 33 cassettes, and I heard it like 6 times. And that's how I learned Chaitanya Charitamrita, just by hearing Amala Bhakta narrate. It wasn't the Bhaktivedanta purport, she just narrated Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's really nice. I'm sure it's available digitally, and he's good. But now there's many others that are also good. So Sanatana Goswami was traveling through Jharkhand forest on his way to Puri, and on the way to Puri, he took some water from a place that he shouldn't have taken water from. It was contaminated, and he got a disease. And the particular disease that he got was wet itches. Now, Prabhupada describes there's dry itches and wet itches, and his was the wet kind, like pussy, yucky, smelly stuff came out of these sores in his body. And he felt terrible because he knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would like to embrace him. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would want to embrace him, he'd smear that smelly, yucky stuff on his body. So there's, don't touch me, Amala Bhakta, don't touch me. And Lord Chaitanya would say, it's like a little child saying to the mother, don't touch me. I get great pleasure embracing you. He said, but smelly, yucky stuff. And he said, the child also has, they pass stool and urine, and the mother wants to embrace their child anyways, kind of thing. That was part of their intimacy. So when he got to Puri, there was an opportunity to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on a daily basis. And one of the ways that he saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on a daily basis is follow Lord Chaitanya's routine. So Lord Chaitanya, early morning, he would go to the Jagannath temple, see Lord Jagannath from behind the Gruta Stamba, experience ecstasy and love of Radharani, seeing the personality of Godhead Krishna in the mood of separation from Krishna. The pujaris gave him prasad from Jagannath. He took the prasad of Jagannath and went straight to Haridas Thakur's place, who would not come to the temple. So he brought the temple to Haridas in the form of prasad and sat and had some association with Haridas in different ways. There's sections where it describe what their conversations were like. And after visiting Haridas, he'd go to Tota Gopinath. Tota means garden, where the Gopinath deity was. And he would see the deity of Gopinath and dance and chant and in ecstasy of love of God before the Gopinath deity. And then he would hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit every day, as we do every day, hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And the relish hearing the Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. So Sanatana Goswami wanted to go see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Tota Gopinath. But from where he was staying, the direct line is you go in front of the temple of Jagannath. And he didn't want to go in front of the temple of Jagannath because he had this yucky stuff on his body, and the pujaris coming and going might bump into him. So he went instead along the sea. And in Jagannath Puri, it's hot in Vrindavan in the summer. It's more hot in Jagannath Puri. And as the painting is showing, that the sand was like fire. And as he was walking across the sand that was like fire, his feet blistered. So in addition to yucky stuff on his body, he's got now blistered feet. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, why didn't you walk along the shady street that leads from the Jagannath temple to me? And he gave the same reason. I was afraid, because many priests walk along that street to serve Lord Jagannath. If they accidentally touched me, they would be defiled. I am not a caste person. To protect them from offense, I chose the beach path. And his feet were blistered. I don't feel any pain because I did what I couldn't help doing. Bhakti can help one overcome difficulties, physical difficulties. So Lord Chaitanya decided to embrace him. And when he embraced him, the sores went away. The blisters on his feet didn't go away, but my dear Sanatana, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. I'll say it 2 times. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. So you're a decorated devotee with many ornaments. If one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him. Thus, he is vanquished both in this world and the next. By observing the etiquette, you have satisfied my mind. Who else but you could show this example? Just direct quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then, of course, he embraced him and the sores went away. However, sometimes persons aren't so humble. There have been circumstances when persons that are normally prevented from entering the Jagannath temple, they tried to storm the temple. And that's what the scene is here. People those who are not eligible to enter the temple tried to storm the temple. And the pujaris became very afraid, etc., etc., etc. The mentality of those that don't accept the humble position, let us in, I'm worthy, the opposite of Sanatana Goswami's mood. So if for some reason there's no admission, a person never thinks, I am worthy. Sanatana Goswami and Haridas stood outside, respecting the tradition, sanctified by time. Respecting the boundary pleased Krishna more than crossing it. Now, one could give an argument, wait a minute, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, da 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 da. And you give your scriptural arguments and that the door's locked. Therefore, respecting the etiquette, observing etiquette, all my disciples should become ladies and gentlemen. A gentleman is soft, well-mannered, educated, and humble. It is someone who knows how to behave and follow the standard. Nice, huh? Now, over a period of time, the rules, this is form and substance, or form and essence. Rules may change. For example, in Satyayug, the sacrifice of animals, not for the animal slaughter, but sacrifice of animals was done. This age is not, because there aren't qualified people to do. So a rule may change from Satyayug to Kali Yuga. That's okay. In principle, observing etiquette has an impact on people. Here's a little example. There's a boarding school that has a system, purposeful system, that they identify as a culture of education. And that is, even if, just like this discussion we had about Indra and Brahaspati, how many times, if one sees the Brahaspati, how many times per day would Indra see him? So if I paid obeisances this morning, that's it. No. One of the persistently implemented rules of etiquette in this boarding school means you live there. You don't go to school and come back home. You live at boarding school. So whoever they would meet, not just their teachers, but they would meet someone, and it was just a culture that you greet the other person. It's just a small thing, but it makes a culture of respect. naturally. That's what they found in this particular boarding school. That's what happens. Subtle power of greeting. It's not just polite. Refusing to greet someone, you're implying you're inconsequential, you don't exist, you're unimportant, ignoring those 4 stages of envy. If you remember from the very beginning part. Just ignoring somebody as if they don't exist. Then acknowledging them. So ignoring is spiritual violence. Greeting someone is the practice of validating their existence as a soul. Ignoring them is an act of violence against the soul. Respect is universal but not uniform. So we're going to go into the end. We're going to go into this hierarchy of divisions of life. Remember Mukunda's question, Dial Mukunda's question about, how much is dependent upon our effort and how much is mercy. That was the kind of the topic. So we make distinctions on coverings, but we don't identify with the covering. And the distinctions of covering also has behind the covering is consciousness. There's gradations of consciousness, not only gradations of form. And therefore etiquette has to make these distinctions. And that's in there's a section, a rather lengthy section actually, in chapter 29, where Kapila is describing the evolutionary ladder of consciousness. Just not here, the drawing is showing life forms. From aquatics to insects to et cetera, evolutionary scale. Each category of beings has its own maryada, or discipline. And here's Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying the same thing. Get ready for a long list coming on the right-hand side. Chaitanya Shikshamrita. Proper respect should be given considering the person's status. This is called maryada. Not giving proper respect is considered a great fault. There's a quick list. In order, humans, there's civilized humans, and then persons that are in a position of respect, like king, or educated, or persons with good qualities, like brahmanas, etc. Respect according to varna, respect according to ashram, respect according to devotion. Ultimately, the highest is bhakti maryada, the respect given to the devotional service and those who embody it. The art of living in society means understanding the position of everyone, showing them appropriate respect. Interesting. This happened in Mayapur. In Mayapur, so Mayapur was growing and growing and growing, and then different persons would come to Mayapur, besides Vaishnavas. In fact, Mayavadi sannyasis would sometimes come to Mayapur. So Jayapataka Maharaj, in a letter, wrote to Srila Prabhupada, if we see a Mayavadi sannyasi, should we pay them obeisances? And Prabhupada's reply in writing, if you see a Mayavadi sannyasi, immediately bow down to him. There'll be no harm. Then, in the same letter, as you noted, we are following Lord Chaitanya's instruction that we should respect everyone according to their position, but this doesn't mean that we have to constantly communicate with them. In his letter, even if a person is a Vaishnava without good qualities, we should respect them as a Vaishnava. but we should not associate with such a person. This competence to differentiate or show respect depending upon the position of a person is essential. So this is our last slide. There is a hierarchy in this world. At the end, Krishna is at the top. This understanding helps one realize spiritual knowledge. We realize this by understanding that Krishna is manifested in the personality of our spiritual master. Through paying respect to our spiritual master, we can gain a lot, materially and spiritually. The highest reward is realized knowledge. Vice versa, violation of this principle deprives one of the opportunity to realize this knowledge. Consequently, knowledge remains theoretical. So, final, receiving blessings from those who are above us. There's layers or gradations of those above us. We need blessing from above. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes the same thing in his Shikshastaka, makes reference, Gurudev Kripabindu Diya, it's a very famous song. By administering a drop of your mercy, make this servant of yours, O Gurudev, infinitely more humble than a blade of grass, giving me the strength to bear all trials and troubles, free me from desires for personal honor. So then proper respect can be easily given in these conditions. I'm okay. I have my own. Thanks. To be continued. So, when I come back again, maybe I'll do the to be continued part. And there's some other sections also. Summary, just like step way back. Krishna is in the heart of all living entities. Worshipping Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, that's nice. Then there's those that represent him, or those that are carrying Krishna within their heart. Then respect. And then there's the obstacle, that's the envy between us and them, and between us and Krishna. And overcoming that, there's respect as the antidote. So that's the essence, the simple theme. We've spent a lot of time discussing the simple theme. See if there's some discussion.
Maharaj, I have a comment and a question on this theme of form and essence. So, language, which is form, is a reflection of our thoughts.
Yeah.
And our thoughts are a reflection of our consciousness.
Yes.
And we come often to bhakti very unrefined. So the essence may not be there, but fortunately, the form can help to, and this was one of the points you made, bring out or inspire the essence over time.
Yeah.
So language
is important.
Can shape our consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, I find the language of nonviolent communication to be a helpful tool in using the form to try to enter into the essence, which is the bhakti and the Vaishnava etiquette, when it's missing to begin with, because of all our habitual ways of responding and defending and criticizing and judging. And a question, Guru Maharaj?
Okay. I'm still thinking on your reflection. The pause on the reflection is when the speaker and the subject of the speaker is in relation to Krishna, then the same point, the material principle becomes elevated to a spiritual standard or spiritual level or spiritual impact. Is it possible? It's certainly possible that one can repeat the words of the Bhagavatam or scripture like this, hogs, dogs, camels, and asses message in a very pejorative and not very, in inviting way, depending upon the audience and the person speaking. But the principle is by making that sound vibration that's from the scripture, it has a spiritual potency, both for both the speaker and the hearer. So it's just that this comment about language and the expression of consciousness, to the idea of aligning ourselves through spiritual sound, through spiritual language, and etc., to that Krishna should be pleased, makes a whole world of difference between that and material sound, because there's a lot of material sound in the world. Okay, your question.
This is a personal question on the principle of form and essence. So I often see you at venues such as colleges or the Body, Mind, Spirit Retreat and so forth. And we know that our form should be modified according to the time, place, and circumstance, the form in which we offer respect. So I consider that it's a little odd for Western new people to see the bowing down.
Yeah.
That we have.
Yeah.
So I don't follow.
Battery died? That's just what happened? You don't know. Okay. Go ahead.
And I'm quite fearful, Guru Maharaj, that I don't have the adhikar to really not follow the form in those situations and still maintain the essence of respect. So it makes me quite uncomfortable. I am requesting some guidance.
Internal. Or do it anyways. Prabhupada is saying, because by doing, then the feeling will be there. Nandimukhi shared with me 2 days ago, once upon, for the first time in her life, she was a student at a university in Virginia and doing her PhD in that university. And Mahamantra invited her to come to a home program. And at the end of the home program, she had a question. She wanted to ask the question. So he accompanied her. He paid his obeisances. And for the first time in her life, she paid obeisances. And it was like, not comfortable. But, she doesn't look back upon it and regret it. So, minimally, internally, it's like this Agni Purana reference of the Shravan Kumar's father. I saw Vaishnava and didn't, within my mind, offer proper respect. So it may be, personal or circumstantial or some other reasons, but, minimally within the mind, or you know, then of course, you know, you're a mature woman. You certainly understand, you know, so what? It, you know, the form is an expression, just like language is an expression. So that's an expression of consciousness. And I'm accepting that the essence is not the form. The essence is the essence. So that the essence of pleasing Krishna be manifest. You know, at least mentally or by gesture, and then so forth. You want to give a yabat?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This is with reference to the story about Yudhishthira Maharaj and the pastime that you described, Arjuna and Yudhishthira Maharaj.
Yeah.
So my thesis here is whatever is inside, whatever is inside comes outside.
Yes.
And clearly there was a Krishna factor there. So, you know, we know the personalities of Arjuna, we know the personalities of Yudhishthira Maharaj was completely uncharacteristic.
Yes.
And so this has to be Krishna factor.
Yeah.
So in our circumstances, we may have certain personalities that are mostly consistent. And then there might be some episode that happens. How should that person process it, and how should the rest of the people who observe it, or the person who is getting the brunt of that episode, process it? Should we consider it as Krishna factor? Everybody considers as Krishna factors that I have something to learn from this for myself. Like, how do we process it?
It depends. You know, to properly process it requires, you know, the big picture, not just you know, a bullet or one option. So it depends. I mean, we can follow the depends. You can say, for example, and for example, and for example, and for example. Then you put the step back, and then it depends what the circumstances are.
Like, I can see even within my own life too, and maybe even other person's lives, where something that is uncharacteristic of our own selves, we do something.
Yeah.
Like, I have no clue why I did that. It's very uncharacteristic of me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And does it mean that there is a seed in there that is, you know, that I haven't actually triggered as yet, is now fructified, has now come
That's a
out?
possibility. So again, it depends. Then it could be here. You know, gives it, for example, some other examples. Krishna wanted somebody to be an instrument for another somebody, and that other somebody needed that, you know, that experience. Then the person who's delivering, you know, there's some. This is, you know, can be so many things. So it's not just what you said is a possibility. Krishna's orchestrating something. No, so you're using language Krishna factor. But, you know, it doesn't have to be like this. It could have been like that. And maybe some persons weren't playing their role properly, the Krishna role that Krishna wanted. Or it could be. So there's then a big item is over time, when the dust settles, what's the situation? I'm reminded of, probably say it wrongly, but this message that I said, Deva Amrita Maharaj shared with me, and then Sri Radhika found the section from Burijan's writing, My Glorious Master. He was in Australia, and there were two sannyasis that weren't getting along, and they were both in the room, and Prabhupada was there, and I guess Burijan was also there because he repeated the story. You're both disciples of the same spiritual master, and you're not getting along. Why? And one of them looked at the other and said, envy. And the other one looked at the other one and didn't say anything, which means acknowledgement. And then when Prabhupada made some remark, so who's going to say who is the envious one? And then in time, it'll become clear. So, back to your question. When something that's untoward happens, take a look at it over time and see what the outcome is. Mars Parikshit doing what Mars Parikshit did. Out of character, completely out of character. But there was a plan. So that's in case of Krishna's plan, very clearly is Krishna's plan. And then there may be other circumstances. Is that really what's going on, or is it something else or something else? Something else that's inside, just lingering, and got triggered somehow, and then it came out. Or a combination of things. Even at the same time, combination of things. So it's hard to say. Depends. And time will tell. Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Question related to Karna Guru Maharaj, Karna and Arjuna. So Karna has pride against his archery, or he has envy against Arjuna?
He has envy against Arjuna. He had pride in his own skill, and he had envy against Arjuna. He, in his own words at least, seeing them as equal, but he's seeing himself superior.
Yeah.
I can defeat them all. He made that declaration before the battle. And when he spoke that way, grandfather Bhishma blasted him. You're such a proud fool. And then he said what he said, you think you can kill the Pandavas, but the Pandavas are protected by Krishna. And look what Krishna did, this and that and the other, and Krishna's protecting them. You're going to destroy them? You're a fool. So, both. Pride and envy, both.
So addition to that one, Maharaj. So envy the people have the parallel skill or similar.
Have the what?
Similar skills, or that envy does not matter the hierarchy.
I don't understand the question.
Envy come because of the skills, doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. You can't embody. And then you add to the body some wealth, or some opulence, something. Beauty, archery skill, singing skill, mridanga skill, and you name it. Then be proud. It just adds, inflames. So we had that discussion. That sage that wanted without being humble. he became very, very gifted, but it destroyed him. Remember? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
You're going to read from your phone? Took your note. Okay.
This is in relation, Maharaj, where Krishna said to Arjuna, when a younger person speaks disrespectfully to elder, it's equal to be killed.
Yeah, Krishna said.
Yeah. So, I was just connecting to Vibhishana speaking to Ravana and Vidura speaking to Dhritarashtra. But they were not disrespectful.
Yeah.
And
The mood, just I'm interrupting. But the mood of Vibhishan's case was affection, wishing, because there are times, was one of the part of the discussion when the junior person can speak something to the senior person for course correction, and it's not an offense. It depends on the consciousness behind that speaking, the intention behind the speaking.
Yes, I think you answered my question. I was about to ask when is the younger person getting the adhika to do the course correction?
When? When the mood is sufficiently genuine humility and I wish to please the superior. And then you think twice, thrice, 4 times before you're speaking like that. You can saying the right thing in the right way, besides from the right consciousness. It's a delicate issue. It can go the other way too. The person in the superior position, when to instruct the subordinate person, and how to, and in what circumstance, and so forth. Okay. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I actually wanted to clarify if my thinking was correct. So many times I think we see that there are people who may actually have bhakti, they may actually have devotion.
Good.
They may actually really believe in what they're doing, but they also do things that are morally questionable.
Mm.
And it also happens on a macro scale.
On a macro scale.
Yeah, like
Big.
theocracy, genocides, what have you. And I've always rationalized that by thinking, you don't have to be a good person. Like who you are morally does not guarantee bhakti.
Does not what?
Does not guarantee bhakti. Like that's not a qualification. Like that's how I think. Because bhakti is what Krishna gives. Like it's what he gives.
But that's what real morality is. Like Arjuna killing, that's real morality. Yudhishthira telling a lie, that's real morality. But Arjuna gives, Krishna gives the criterion for that being the real standard of truthfulness and morality. Because morality is the word that you used. So let Krishna set that standard. What Krishna wants, that's what real morality is, whatever that may be. And take it in any sphere. Is everything all right? Huh?
Most son is crying, I think the mother went.
I thought someone was injured, so I was just getting up.
Ah.
They're okay.
Okay. It's kids bouncing against the wall or something. Ah. Okay. Wow. You bang your head?
He's fine.
He's okay. 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 Oh, so where are we? You're more to your question, or are you resolved?
There's the bit more.
There's even more. Give her the microphone. And then Varsana, then we're going to finish.
So this is, I think, an extreme position, extreme question. So when people who do really bad things to other people in the name of God,
Ooh.
yeah. What do you think of those people? Should you think of
It
those people?
depends. It depends. You want some it depends examples? Yeah. Here's a nice one. I like one of my favorites. I'm looking at Ganganarayan, the Sri Vaishnava Alvar who built the temple of Sri Rangam by criminal activity. What's his name? Tirumangalai. Tirumai? Tirumangali. Mangai. Tirumangai. You know who that is? No. He's one of their, the Sri Vaishnava great saints or Alvars. And he went to Sri Rangam and saw the deity and saw there wasn't a proper temple. So he did what, an elevated person would do. He went here and there and requested everyone to give some contribution to build a nice temple for the deity. Nothing came. So he had 3 associates that had mystic powers, and they used their mystic powers to steal the money and build the temple for Ranganath. And they all lived happily ever after. And one could walk on water, and one could get into a locked up room, and they go stealing people's homes because they're misers. And anyway, so that's an example, a nice example. Bad, sinful. Krishna in Vrindavan. It's not just unmarried girls, it's ladies with children, married girls with children. And, more or less, Ramachandra would never do that because he's Maryada Purushottama. But, look at Krishna, he's bad. Some people have that idea. Most people don't have the right idea. So how is it transcendental? What's transcendental debauchery? Prasanna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. The question is about Karna. There was a slide early on, it said closed heart. When there is disrespect that's experienced due to ill-informed relationships, it leads to closed heart or something like that. So in the case of Karna, in the modern outlook, it may seem like he had a traumatic experience, like, giving, he was given away as a child, never acknowledged. And the repercussions, he felt it all along his life. And so in that sense, when Mother Kunti goes, so his heart was closed.
Yeah.
Could we call him as like a victim of the circumstances, or how do we look at that? Even though he was told Krishna is on that side, even though he was told that his brother, he was fighting his own brothers, his heart was already closed because of what he went through.
Yes.
Could you shed a little light on how we can look at that in a Vaishnava way? Like,
Well, just say your question slowly. How?
how can we look at his? There is one way where we say, indeed, he was proud and he was envious,
Yeah.
and his loyalty was misplaced.
Yeah.
Uh,
But he had reason to be loyal. He misplaced loyalty. He had his reason.
right.
He was protected. He was uplifted when he was in the mud. So I respect that person, and I'm going to be loyal to that person.
So,
And he and Karna, he and Duryodhana shared, diabolical intentions, unethical intentions, like killing Bhima and, the House of Black and, et cetera, by any means, any unfair means. So he was exalted, but, misguided. Now, if I want to try to understand the essence of your question. Your essence of your question is,
right. And so I think for any soul that may have gone through this unfortunate situation, it seems like for Karna, after that, there was this downward trend to his self-destruction.
yeah.
But for a soul that has perhaps gone through such an unfortunate situation, where their heart is closed, is there how
to open it?
Yeah, how can we come up? Either they or us helping them come up, or
Well, one of the messages that we heard is, on the one hand and on the other hand. So Prabhupada was very expert at melting hearts. But then there's some hearts that wouldn't melt. They were just nasty to the end, till they had their heart attack. Mr. Nair. And so, he didn't dislike the person, but he was very aware of this. He's a cheater, and this and that, and his wife. It's so forth. So some persons, their heart going to stay locked, but there's some persons that can be made soft, and that that was one of the parts of by respect. And by treating with dignity, even their behavior is undignified. Here's another nice example, Mahabharata example. Yudhisthira knew very well, because what he didn't know, Vidura told him, and Vidura told him what's going on in the back room. And Dhritarashtra knew all the diabolical things that Duryodhana was cooking up and did. He knew and looked the other way. Bhima blasted him, but Yudhisthira didn't do that. Not Bhima, but Bhishma blasted Duryodhana. Excuse me. Bhima blasted Dhritarashtra. You're not checking him. You're his father. You have that power and position. You can check him. But he didn't in part because he wanted his son to become the king. So he looked the other way at the diabolical stuff. But Yudhisthira always spoke to him respectfully, knowing what he knew. Treated him with all dignity, because that was Yudhisthira. No, it didn't change. Dhritarashtra kept being Dhritarashtra right until the end. And then he, little light went on, and Vidura blasted him. Get out. And so he did. And went to the Himalayas, and it's a very nice section of the Mahabharata. Sanjaya went with Dhritarashtra because he was blind. And who went with Gandhari? Was it Kunti? Kunti went with Gandhari because she was blindfolded. And then there was a question when Dhritarashtra was going to enter into fire. Well, Sanjaya wanted to know, what should I do? Anyway, it's just like all these ethical impossible people can become melted, by the school of hard knocks and by affection. And some people, it's the school of hard knocks. That's about it. Yes.
Just on that topic, if I understood one of the underlying questions here, it almost seems like Karna started off in a bad footing, like samskara. Like maybe Yudhishthira Maharaj had a really good samskara and he had really good qualities, and everything builds beyond that. And Karna, to begin with, didn't even have a good samskara. Like he was destined for a particular trajectory.
Yeah.
That then put him in a situation like
he was in a bind.
His starting point was not as favorable as Yudhishthira Maharaj's to begin with.
Yeah.
At birth.
Yeah.
And then from then on, it's just so. How can we? So when we say that Karna was seething with pride and envy,
he was.
Yes, but that was consequence of the starting point.
But why the starting point? Now, I don't know about the past life of Karna. That would be an interesting, starting point. But the coat of armor with which he was born, and all of that, and the one, without all the detail, because Mahabharata's very complicated. It's getting rid of the coats of armor and all of that. He had a charitable side. But misfortune comes because of some cause. So he was in a misfortunate situation from the get-go, yes. Unlike Yudhishthira, yes. And same for Dhritarashtra. We can say he was born blind. We just had this discussion with the Chinese devotees this morning at 5:30. He was born blind because Ambika, when she saw Vyasadeva, she closed her eyes. So the consciousness of the mother at the time of conception has a strong impact upon the son. So why did she close her eyes? Resulting in Dhritarashtra being born blind. Well, what was Dhritarashtra before he was Dhritarashtra? Those kinds of questions are natural kinds of questions. The cause behind the cause behind the cause. And then what are we going to do? Because here we are. And we know some people that have had trauma. A big time trauma. And that big time trauma has an impact on their experience of the world. You can't undo that quickly. Anyway, you get the last word.
I was just going to say that if I remember correctly,
if what?
If my memory is correct, Karna's past life, he was a demoniac king Sahasra Kavacha who had.
Where does that come from?
Mahabharata. It's there in the, I think in the epilogue, Krishna Dharma Prabhu has each character portrayal. I can find the reference, Guru Maharaj.
My hesitation is because once upon a time I pursued this, and I found the reference source was Garga Samhita, which is questionable. So, what's in the epilogue, I would want to ask the author, where's the source of this? it happens that, misinformation gets circulated. And I'm not pointing any finger, just said it just happens. So one has to be I've learned to be a little particular about the source of things. If you want, you can write a letter and copy me and saying, Rolpad Swami asked me to ask you this question to the author. Krishna Dharma, epilogue? Okay, then I can write the letter. Okay. See the Prabhupada Ki Jai.